Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA from the Black Boule in this action-packed all-new John Haynes series adventure. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. A Hollywood producer was convicted of 2 counts of murder for the drug overdose deaths of a model and her friend, and was also convicted for raping and assaulting 7 other women. Much better.
And we have more breaking news. A jury has found Hollywood producer David Pierce guilty of first-degree murder in the 2021 deaths of a model and her friend.
The women both died of drug overdoses. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes is live at the courthouse in downtown LA with the breaking details. Rob?
Yeah, the jury today siding with the prosecution, finding David Brian Pierce guilty on all counts. The Hollywood producer now convicted of drugging and raping 2 women who later died because the drugs Pierce gave them were laced with fentanyl. Now, here's a look at the victims. 24-year-old Christy Giles, a model and aspiring actress, along with her friend, 26-year-old Hilda Cabrales Arzola. They died in November 2021. Prosecutors say the 2 had met Pierce at a party downtown and went back to his home in Pico Robertson, where he drugged and raped them. Then Pierce and his roommate dropped the women off at 2 different hospitals. Today, the jury found Pierce guilty on 11 different counts, including 2 counts of murder and a slew of rape counts. The jury, though, deadlocked on 2 counts his roommate was facing for helping Pierce drop the women off at the hospital. Prosecutors haven't said if they will retry his case. Pierce, though, is slated to be sentenced on March 13th. He is facing up to life in prison.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content by clicking the subscribe button for our YouTube channel and download the ABC7 Los Angeles streaming app on Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, and Roku to watch on your TV.
Now, according to reports, a Los Angeles jury only needed 2.5 days before reaching a verdict to convict 42-year-old David Brian Pierce for the murders of actress and model Christy Giles and her 26-year-old friend Hilda Marcela Cabrales Arzola, who allegedly went to the home of David Brian Pierce and looked to go out and spend some time with him. And as they were at his home, this is where the prosecution alleged that David Brian Pierce offered both Christy Giles and Hilda Marcela Cabrales Arzola a series of drugs, including cocaine, ketamine, GHB, and fentanyl. And after taking all of these drugs, it was done, again, with malice of forethought, according to the prosecution, so that David Brian Pierce would be able to participate in raping these women and participating in sex crimes as he looked to violate their bodies. And unfortunately, what happened was that both women wound up becoming unconscious due to their body having a chemical reaction to these drugs, with Christy Giles being the first to have a reaction to these drugs. And in response, David Brian Pierce allegedly decided to take her to the hospital. And after he and one of his accomplices allegedly took them to the hospital in a Prius with no license plates, they left her at the hospital, and then 2 hours later decided to take her friend Hilda Marcela Cabrales Arzola to another hospital in an effort to try to not make a trail that would lead directly to them. However, after police started to do an investigation, they began to see that after one of these women, again, Christy Giles, who arrived at the hospital dead, and the other one, Hilda Marcela Cabrales Arzola, wound up at the hospital clinging to life and then eventually dying, they began to see that this was not only a case of these women just being unconscious, but a case of these women being raped and murdered by David Brian Pierce, as related to him looking to, again, get out here and get involved with these women. Now, in the aftermath of the police doing their investigation, where they found DNA of David Brian Pierce under the fingernails of these women, they began to have other women go out here and make claims of being violated and raped in a similar fashion by David Brian Pierce as related to drugging and sexually violating these women. And those charges were all compounded as related to the prosecutor's case of these sex crimes that took place between 2007 and 2020. Now, the Los Angeles Prosecutor's Office sees the behavior of David Brian Pierce as an isolated incident that they prosecuted and convicted. But when I take a critical examination of David Brian Pierce's alleged behavior, it definitely fits the pattern and profile of beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And what David Brian Pierce was doing was what many beta males do as related to their behavior, antisocial behavior. And I go in depth on that antisocial behavior in 2 chapters of The Man Crisis: the sexual frustration of the beta male and the sexual deviancy of the beta male. Now, when it comes to the beta male really doesn't have a good, healthy understanding of sex and sexuality. And because they don't have a good understanding of sex and sexuality, what they do is they have a lot of sexual shame, and they hide their sexuality in a place I call the secret world. And in that secret world, this is where these men feel safe about expressing their natural masculinity and their natural sexuality. Unfortunately, because they live in a rose-colored reality, they don't see people as people. Moreover, when it comes to these men, since they don't feel like they have power over their own masculinity and sexuality, they look to get power over women, and they look to get power over women not by having an intimate relationship with them, but by humiliating them and basically looking to destroy their bodies. That's what these men do with as related to sex and sexuality that makes them sexual deviants. And these sexual deviants are not about getting pleasure by sharing love with a woman, but by getting power from humiliating that woman, by taking away her body and her agency over her body from herself. And that's what these men do as related to their behaviors that lead to them heading down a road of sexual deviancy, a road of sexual deviancy that eventually escalates to these men participating in sex crimes because they don't see a woman as a person. No, they see a woman as an object that they can abuse to participate in getting their pleasure by having power over a woman's body. And what this man did was look to use his high status as a Hollywood producer and his influence as a Hollywood producer as a way to appeal to women's natural hypergamy and appeal to women's natural hypergamy so that he could have the opportunity to go out here and abuse their bodies and humiliate them with malice of forethought. That's basically what David Brian Pierce was doing as related to his alleged actions, as related to looking to appeal to these young, attractive models and actresses, and even their friends, like this architect, Hilda Marcela Cabreras Arzola, making these women believe that they had an opportunity to be with a high value or high status man by using their whole status as related to being a Hollywood producer. That's what David Brian Pierce was looking to do. And as he looked to use his status, this would again entice the women to come up to their homes, and again come up to their homes and be a part of what they would believe to be the Hollywood lifestyle. And as they were coming up to the home to experience what they believed to be the Hollywood lifestyle, this is where a guy like David Brian Pierce would persuade these women to take these drugs or offer these women drugs. And then, as these women were thinking that this is just part of the lifestyle, they're not seeing how they are basically being tricked into, again, getting involved with a man who again wants to render their body unconscious to take away their power and their agency over their own bodies and control over their own bodies, so that these men, like David Brian Pierce, can go out here and again rape these women and completely humiliate them. Because for this man, again, it wasn't about just having sex with an attractive woman. Because when a man wants to again have sex with an attractive woman, he will look to again get the woman's consent because he wants to be close to that woman. Moreover, he wants to earn the trust of that woman, and he wants to share love with that woman. Again, for a healthy man, a sex act is about sharing love and being close to a woman and sharing yourself with a woman. But for one of these sexually predatory beta males, sex is not, again, about sharing yourself, but about taking away from the woman. And again, taking away from the woman, because what this beta male wants to do is take away that woman's power, take away over her body, take away her control over her body, take away her agency over her body, take away her intangibles of womanhood, like her dignity and her self-respect, and take away her freedom from having the ability to be able to leave a situation or say no to that man. Again, this is all about power for the beta male, and again, all about power because what he wants to do ultimately is break that woman's body down and break her spirit down. And this man gets pleasure from seeing the spark of life leave these women's eyes as they are being humiliated, and they get pleasure from seeing that woman basically winding up in a place where she goes from having a smile in her eyes to basically having a blank look on her face. That's what the beta male gets off on. He gets off on, again, taking away that woman's, again, joy and taking away her dignity. That's what the beta male gets off on, because for him, it's not about, again, about this woman consenting to share her body with him. It's about him taking away her ability to have a choice. And again, that's the difference between a sex act with a man and a beta male, because a beta male, again, he's a sexual deviant. And again, this deviant is all about participating in antisocial behavior. And this antisocial behavior where he grapes these women is, again, about violating their bodies and taking their bodies away from them by, again, doing this act where they, again, their bodies are completely have no control over it. And that's why he offered them these drugs. And as he offered them these drugs, he then, again, participated in these sex acts. And again, in the case of these two women, 2 hours apart from each other, he basically, again, violated one woman while the other one was unconscious. And then, after she wound up not responsive, took her to the hospital, as according to reports, left her dead body at the hospital. Then, after, again, going out here and seeing this other woman unconscious, possibly violating her body as well, then took the woman to another hospital with the help of an alleged accomplice, and did this all under the cover of night with a car with no license plates on it, so that nobody could track him, because this allowed him to maintain his smooth world where you'd have no conflicts, problems, or obstacles as related to him being a Hollywood producer who, in spite of all of his success and all of his wealth, was basically, again, living a double life, living a life on the surface as a producer, but under that surface was basically living a life in the secret world as a sexual deviant who basically got his pleasure from destroying a woman's body, destroying a woman's mind, and ultimately was escalating his behavior to the point where he wound up taking the lives of two women, because this is a clear case of first-degree murder, because, again, he participated in these sex acts with malice aforethought, with a plan to humiliate these women, and these women wound up dying because he, again, participated in giving these women these drugs. Now, that was the point that the prosecution proved as related to his case, and proved as related to their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And he was also convicted of other crimes against other women, such as forcible rape against other women in 3 other cases, 2 counts of penetration by use of force, 1 count of rape by an unconscious person, and sodomy with the use of force, along with other assault charges of violating these women's bodies. Again, violating these women's bodies between 2007 and 2020, over 13 years of participating in sex crimes. And what's really even more disturbing is that David Brian Pierce's behavior fits a escalating pattern that I've been seeing among especially white males. I mean, we recently had a trio of brothers of a real estate group who were charged with a similar crime. Moreover, we had the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch accused and arrested of participating in sex trafficking, where he looked to humiliate and violate young men by promising them modeling jobs at Abercrombie and Fitch, but then took them to his private facility and again humiliated those men. And it's again fitting a very disturbing pattern of behavior I have been seeing among white males. And this is coming years after the Me Too movement, which was supposed to stop the sexual harassment and sexual assault of women. But this is still going on, and again, still going on here in America, where we were told that the Me Too movement was supposed to stop this type of sex crime, but it's still going on because, again, you have a bumper crop of beta males. And again, you have also racism going on because the mainstream media would go out here and demonize a black man like Bill Cosby or talk about a guy like Sean P. Diddy Combs. However, the mainstream media would not talk about a guy like David Brian Pierce. No, when it comes to the story of David Brian Pierce, this story, I only heard about it because viewers told me about it. And again, this guy's behavior, again, is fitting a pattern of depraved indifference I've been seeing as related to these kinds of males, especially these white males as related to these kinds of stories. I mean, this guy's behavior is no different than the 3 real estate moguls who basically were charged with sex trafficking, no different than the crimes that I've heard the guy from Abercrombie and Fitch. But the mainstream media will only focus on the black males like a Bill Cosby or a Sean P. Diddy Combs, but won't say much about these white males, and in some cases give these white males white privilege, like in the case of the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, who basically is out on bail while Sean P. Diddy Combs is in jail for the exact same charges. But what's even more disturbing than that is that we're seeing, again, this pattern of sex crimes among wealthy men, a pattern of sex crimes among wealthy men that show me that we have a very disturbing pattern as related to these males. Again, these are males who basically, again, who could have any woman that they wanted if they wanted to have a relationship with them. But these men don't want relationships. No, what they want to do is have power, because a lot of these men have serious power issues. And because these men have serious power issues, they are a clear and present danger, because one of the most dangerous people as related to the man crisis are beta males who have issues as related to their sexuality, because these men basically have issues as related to their power, because they have an issue with female authority figures and possibly mommy issues. And because they have these issues with female authority figures and mommy issues, they basically have issues as related to taking power as men. And because they have issues to taking power as men, they want to go out here and, again, not share a loving relationship with a woman. What they want to do is, again, I'll repeat it once more, humiliate a woman, break a woman down, take away her agency and power, and again, use their penises as weapons. And as they're using their penises as weapons, they don't want to connect with a woman and see the light in her eyes. No, they want to take away that life from her eyes and break her spirit This is what I mean by breaking a woman down. These guys basically want to break a woman down, take away her ability to feel and connect with people, because these men are disconnected from reality, and they want to, again, see a woman destroyed in front of them. They want to see a woman destroyed in front of them. That's why they go to such lengths to participate in these sex crimes. Again, sex crimes like in the case of many of these people, again, bait and switching people, like in the case of P. Diddy Combs and the alleged freak-offs, where he basically told women they were, again, going to be in different forms of entertainment, but the entertainment was all about humiliating these women. Same thing for the guy at Abercrombie and Fitch, who talked about, again, promising these male models jobs, but again, these men thought they were going on the casting couch, but this was all about humiliating those men and taking away their power. And in the case of the real estate moguls, again, they tricked these women into believing they were going to be with high status men, similar to what David Brian Pierce here was doing. And again, doing this because they wanted to humiliate those women and again, take away their bodies from themselves and get a laugh at seeing these women broken. And that's what this man was doing. And that's why he basically was convicted and will be sentenced to possibly life in prison, where he will find out what it means to not have any power, as he's under the authority of these COs in the California penal system, and has to deal with the social pecking order of Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles, as they basically show him, this $1 million mogul, what life is like in the joint, where he goes from making millions of dollars to making 10 cents to $1 an hour in the penitentiary, as he's traded for Little Debbie snack cakes, ramen noodles, packets of Crystal Light lemonade, packets of Crystal Light tea, Keef coffee, Taster's Choice coffee, off-brand lemon lime drink, off-brand orange drink, off-brand grape drink, off-brand fruit punch, off-brand apple juice, off-brand Oreo cookies, off-brand duplex cookies, off-brand lemon cookies, off-brand vanilla wafers, off-brand ginger snaps, Hunt's snack pack puddings, prison chips, Fritos chips, hot and sour pickles, big meat logs, and and packets of M&Ms, Hershey bars, Mr. Good bar, bottles of Dr. Pepper. I mean, they're basically going to be trading this producer for all sorts of items in the commissary, as they're stuffing beef summer sausages in the front side and the back side, as they spit roast him. And in the middle of spit roasting, dude, Mr. Sprinkles is going to come in and spray the special sauce all over the front side and the back side of this former producer, as they wind up making him being produced as the latest trick. And again, after they wind up spraying him with the front side and the back side with the Mr. Sprinkles special sauce, Mr. Sprinkles is gonna come in, split them cheeks wide open, call all the dudes from Cell Block D to check out his handiwork, as he shows dude's backside looking like the inside of a Louisiana crunch cake. And that's where David Brian Pierce will reap what he sowed, later than he sowed, greater than what he sowed, as he suffers the ignominy of being humiliated in the same way he humiliated those women. And this is where he will basically wind up losing the spark out of his eyes and basically realize the evil that he did, by trying to destroy these women's lives. And it's there where he will basically, if these charges are true, get what he deserves for looking to again participate in this series of again deviant sex crimes. And when it comes to again these type of beta males, they are some of the most dangerous beta males, because again these men put on a face that makes them look good on the outside. They go out here and use their money as an attachment to get the attention of women, again preying on women. And this is what makes these men some of the most dangerous predators, again because they appeal to people's outsides, but you don't know what they are on the inside. And what most people don't know, again, these are again the men who create a crisis in this country with their antisocial and sexually deviant behavior. Go out here and again do this because they have a sexual miseducation where they are taught to be ashamed of their natural sexuality and natural masculinity, and that puts them not on a road to understanding what healthy sexuality is, but to go on a road to participate in sexual deviancy. And as they explore sexual deviancy, this is where they go from going out here and studying again pornography to going out here to looking at antisocial pornography like BDSM, to exploring sexual deviancy, first possibly with prostitutes, to going out here and looking to again get involved with regular women, because these men, again, it's all about power for them. It's all about power and control for them, and again they get pleasure from power, and again that's what makes these men some of the most dangerous ones in this country, because America has one big problem, and one of the problems we don't want to talk about, in addition to the man crisis, is the problem with Americans and sex and sexuality. American sexual shame is the foundation of these men, and again, this is a situation that can be rectified by giving people a healthy sexual education that men need to understand about their bodies and themselves, and respecting the bodies of others. That is what basically keeps a man from becoming one of these deadly predators, is that when a man has a healthy sex education and a healthy understanding of sex, he basically can, again, not wind up on this road. But a lot of men wind up on this road because they get a sexual miseducation due to sexual shame that is exacerbated by Madison Avenue, Hollywood, and the porn industry. And as a result, what happens is that these men go from being go on the road to being healthy men to becoming men in crisis. And what's even scarier is that these men make life just that much scarier for most women in the world, because again, these men don't respect women, they don't regard women, they don't have a care about women, and again, they don't have a care about women because they don't know how to be a man, and that puts everybody's life in danger, because as long as these men are around in large populations, they make life just that much harder for most women. And again, these men make a situation where we get men in crisis, and again, these men in crisis are some of the most dangerous ones. And the whole thing is, if you ever understand this, again, these guys are a clear and present danger to everyone around them. And the scary part is that you may be sitting right next to one of them. Now, if you want to learn how to identify the predatory behavior of beta males as related to sex and sexuality, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos about The Man Crisis, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.